Last time that I checked, it was 5 chains on my neck. It was no smut on my rep. Last time that I checked, I was in the set. Make a $250,000, no sweat. Last time that I checked, I'm the streets voice out west. Legendary self-made progress. Last time that I checked, first the money, the respect, and the power come next. Last time that I checked, I've been self-made from the dribble. I was been saying I'm a
I apologize. My mic was muted. I'm sorry. What's up? What's up? What's up? My name is Khalil, one half of the Wild Card Podcast. And today I am here to do an episode about my favorite quarterback. Not so much favorite quarterback. And I'm gonna break this whole thing down. Because I've seen a lot of comments from, SWAC fans who don't have SWAC teams and alums who don't have a quarterback themselves, and some teams who don't even know if they have a real coach or not. So I'm here to break that down. Before I get into that, though, I do want to say make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and donate to our Cash App. We are working hard to try to get some content out. Me and Kendall have both started our internships with the NBA teams, him with the Atlanta Hawks, me with the Charlotte Hornets. And we're trying to get some content out and, do some little things to get ourselves back on track. We do want to produce content for you guys. Also, big shout out to the Alabama State track team. They finished 5th in the national championship in the men's 4x100. That is, we would have loved for them to win the whole thing, but for them to finish in the top 5 in the country, it speaks volumes to what Coach Bean and Coach Snap are doing over there with that track team and that program. They are winners, and they should be commended. But that being said, like I said, follow the Instagram Wildcard2K, Twitter Wildcard2K. You can follow my Instagram at Khalil Stu or Twitter at Khalil Stu. And let's get into this content. All right, so what I have to talk about today is Demetrius Davis. One of the big question marks for this year's football team is, do they have the answer at the quarterback position, right? And, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the SWAC conference. Jeremy Musa being the best one as of right now at FAMU. He's the top of the top right now because he was the second best quarterback behind Shedeur Sanders last season. And in my opinion, when I got the opportunity as well as Kendall to watch Jeremy Musa play against ASU last year, I wasn't that impressed. Obviously he makes some great reads. He's accurate. He can move a little bit. He plays in a very great system for his skill set. I think he deserves to be commended, not taking any credit away from him. But, I don't think that there's this – I say there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the SWAC, but there is nobody that's just that guy. You know what I'm saying? There's just nobody. Last season we knew Shedeur was that dude. He was manhandling. The year before that, Akil Glass, he was that dude. I don't think there's anybody that we can say is that dude right now. So while everybody is over here poo-pooing on us about our quarterback situation, do you have a quarterback? Ask yourself, is my quarterback capable of going and winning a SWAC championship against a FAMU defense, an Alabama State defense? Better yet, let's ask this question. Is my quarterback good enough to win a MEAC SWAC Celebration Bowl? Ask yourself. Because I want to make this crystal clear because I don't think a lot of people think about this when we're talking about Demetrius Davis. Last year was Demetrius Davis's first year starting since he graduated in 2019 or maybe even 20. People, that's 4 to 5 years, almost 4 or 5 years ago at this point. Some of y'all are going to jump by my math, but you get the point. He sat behind Bo Nix at Auburn, who is a Heisman contender coming up into his next season at Oregon. Congrats to him. Big Auburn fan, by the way. And he was a highly touted recruit. Stepping out on the state on the first day in June, no spring practice, no opportunity to really get acclimated to the system or the scheme. You have a first-year head coach, right? A first-time head coach at that. A new OC, right? Almost an entire new staff. And we're sitting here poo-pooing on what he did this season. Now, granted, he had some very bad moments. I get it. He had some very bad moments. But for us to, the comparison last year was Miles Crawley because they were competing for the starting job. I'm here to tell you, from knowing Coach Robinson pretty well and him wanting to win, he made it very adamant. And on April 20th or April 18th of 2022, I want to win right now. And I'm not just talking about in the SWAC. I want to win it big. I want to bring the MEAC SWAC challenge. I mean, the MEAC, the Celebration Bowl back to the Gump. I want to bring that trophy back to Montgomery. He has one. He has one. Y'all ain't gonna talk about my coach right now either, because my coach got more of a winning record than some of y'all coaches who've been in the SWAC for 20 years. Let that be. But I do want to continue my point on Demetrius Davis. Demetrius Davis is a first time. It was his first time, and believe it or not, there is a cultural change, a scheme change, and everything was changing around him in order to be the starting quarterback. Now, if he had been playing at Auburn for a couple games and had some experience on the field in live game action besides spring game coming to ASU, that would be a completely different story. But he didn't. He didn't. So we're not going to put these expectations on him as if he was, I will say I made a video last year talking about how I thought he was going to be the best quarterback in the SWAC. I look crazy right now. I do. I'll admit. I got a little bit too caught up in the stars like many of you do. A lot of y'all get caught up in these stars and these ratings and these rankings and just think that these guys are supposed to come in and be immediate impact players, which in some cases, that is the case. They can do that. But, and I do realize now, and Kendall's going to, get on me for this, there is a learning curve that comes with playing, in football. In any sport, really. There's a learning curve here. Freshman to sophomore year, you have more experience. Sophomore to junior year, more experience. Junior to senior year. And then sometimes you have even these COVID year guys who are 6 and 7 year players. But all that being said, I think Demetrius had a really good season, though, for a first-time guy. I mean, I don't have the stats in front of me, but the record was 6-4. I mean, 6-5. I thought that his best game he played all season was Bethune-Cookman. Now, granted, Bethune-Cookman was one of the worst teams in the SWAC. However, we do know any week in the SWAC, you can get got. That's just how competitive the SWAC is, and it's going to be even more competitive this year because there's no favorite. There's no favorite. We got a defending SWAC champion in Jackson State who are what they are. They are still going to be a really good football team. Do I think they're going to be as dominant? No, because I have question marks about the coaching staff. I have question marks about who their quarterback is. That's another team. Like I said earlier, ask yourself, do I have a quarterback? Is my quarterback able to start right now and go win me a SWAC championship? Like I said earlier, all I'm saying is ask yourself these questions, okay? Okay. I think that Demetrius, we all know as well, Demetrius battled some injuries last year. Knee injuries, shoulder injuries, on top of the fact that he was behind I'm not going to say that, a very questionable O-line. A questionable offensive line. So you have a first-year head coach, an offensive coordinator who, Lord, Father, and it's your first time playing. Yes. And I'm going to say his name. Scotty. Oscar. Whatever you want to call yourself. You did a comparison between Miles and Demetrius. Let's keep this in mind. The Miles had been in ASU since about 2020, maybe 2019. Right. Got some playing time last year. And was very familiar with the receivers because that matters too. Having that chemistry with those receivers matters too. So yes, while Miles looked good in moments, he also had his bad moments. Until Demetrius got hurt against Jackson State, we were in the whole game. At one point, we were leading in the game. We were leading. Not to mention, we didn't have our number 2 receiver. Really could have been number 1, but he got hurt. Our transfer, Levante Chenault, from Colorado. But we're not going to talk about that, are we? We're not going to talk about how the guy is so mediocre, is so trash, almost defeated the team that y'all think was the best team in HBCU football last year. We're not going to talk about how their biggest loss was to UCLA. Every other game, they were within 7 to 14 points. A field goal kick away or some turnovers cut down, and Alabama State is in the SWAC championship last year. Go back and watch. Go back and look at every single ASU game last year, minus the UCLA game, SWAC games, and go look at what we did. Check the resume. Check the score differential. Look at what our defense did. Look at what the offense did. The offense had their moments when they were not great. That was the majority of the season. But you did have injuries on the O-line. You had injuries at the quarterback position. You had injuries at the receiver position. You had injuries on the defense. Injuries happen as well. But we're just not going to act like that Alabama State is just this mediocre bottom of the barrel type team. Now I get Alabama State. We have Damon Stewart and Nike Willett coming in. The starting job is up for grabs. Competition is good. Competition brings out the best in you. And nobody will know that more and better than head coach Eddie Robinson. E-Rob, as people will say. Eddie Robinson Jr., I'm sorry. Competition brings out the best in you. I think we're going to be fine. I don't have a record prediction yet. It's too early. There's too many, because people talk about how many question marks we have. What about you? What about Mississippi Valley, who won one or 2 games last year? What about Alabama A&M, who went 5-6 or 4-7 last year? I don't know. We beat them, so it don't really matter. They don't have a quarterback. Shout out to Kawhi Brown. You know, you see what I'm saying here? Because the argument could be made, if we were on the other side of the division in the SWAC West, we would be in the SWAC championship facing Jackson State last year. With our first year having a head coach, our real estate agent, our mediocre quarterback, mediocre receivers. But what do I know? I appreciate y'all tuning into this episode. I'm gonna hold everybody accountable for when they come from my school, come for some of the players, especially if you don't have any of your own. Kendall may get on me for this episode because I threw some attacks, got very defensive, but yeah. Thank you. Donate to the Cash App. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Wildcard2K. Follow me on Instagram and Kendall and Man's Era. Follow Kendall on Instagram, Twitter, and follow us. See you soon.